budget deficit by 98 billion naira. President Buhari writes National Assembly declines assent to Electoral Act Amendment Bill. And Nigeria records 500,000 increase in COVID-19 infections in 2 weeks, enters fourth wave. We're glad to have you join us in News Now. I am Folashade Ogurinde. The House of Representatives has jacked up the 2022 budget to 17.12 trillion naira from the 16.39 billion naira proposed by President Muhammadu Buhari. The budget was passed on Tuesday following the adoption of the report of the House Committee on Appropriations submitted by its chairman, Makta Batera. The Green Chambers also increased the oil benchmark from $57 per barrel to $62 per barrel, despite uncertainty in the global oil market due to the Omicron variant of COVID-19. The House made provision for an increase by 400 billion naira for agencies that came forward with financial reports which were not captured in the proposed budget.
That this House do consider the report of the Committee on Appropriations on a bill for an act to authorize the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation to the sum of 16 trillion 126 billion 869 million 917,692 naira only, while 6 trillion 909 billion 849 million 608,707 naira only is for recurrent non-debt service, while the sum of 5 trillion 467 billion 403 million 959,863 naira only is for contribution to development fund for the capital expenditure for the year ending 31st December 2022, and approved the following recommendations led by the committee. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable colleagues, we have now passed the 2022 appropriation bill. I want to thank members, commend them for their industry and hard work in the last 2 months. And I also want to use the opportunity to appeal to members. There is no perfect document, and I know some of the committees have not been able to do perhaps what they thought would be justice to some of the reports. It's nothing, it cannot be 100%, but a lot of work has gone into it, and I commend all of you, particularly Honorable Dan Dutse and Honorable Jobe. I know there are issues, but I appeal to you that we allow this, and it will continue to get better with each year. Thank you very much.
President Muhammadu Buhari has officially declined assent to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. The rejection was conveyed in letters read in the two chambers of the National Assembly on Tuesday by Senate President Hamid Lawan and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila. In a letter read by Senate President Hamid Lawan at plenary on Tuesday, Buhari explained that using direct mode of primaries to determine election candidates will have huge financial impact on political parties.
The conduct of direct primaries across the 8,809 wards across the length and breadth of the country will lead to a significant spike in the cost of conducting primary elections by parties, as well as increase in the cost of monitoring such elections by INEC, who has to deploy monitors across these wards each time a party is to conduct direct primaries for the presidential, gubernatorial, and legislative posts. The addition of these costs with already huge cost of conducting general elections will inevitably lead to huge financial burden on both the political parties, INEC, and the economy in general at a time of dwindling revenues. The indirect consequences of the issues of high cost and monetization are that it will raise financial crimes and constitute further strain on the economy. It will also stifle smaller parties without the enormous resources required to mobilize all party members for the primaries. This is not healthy for the sustenance of multi-party democracy in Nigeria.
President Buhari in the letter also explained that since such mode of election means a large turnout of voters, it will overstretch the police, especially with the current security challenges rocking some parts of the country.
Conducting and monitoring primary elections across 8,809 wards will pose huge security challenges, as the security agencies will also be overstretched. Direct primaries will be open to participation from all and sundry, and such large turnout without effective security coordination will also engender intimidation and disruptions, thereby raising credibility issues for the outcomes of such elections. The amendment as proposed is a violation of the underlying spirit of democracy, which is characterized by freedom of choices. Political party membership is a voluntary exercise of the constitutional right to freedom of association. Several millions of Nigerians are not card-carrying members of any political party. Thus, the emphasis should be on enabling qualified Nigerians to vote for the candidate of their choice during general elections as a means of participation in governance and furtherance of the concept of universal adult suffrage or universal franchise.
Well, having declined assent to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, what next should be expected from the National Assembly? Well, to answer this question, I'm joined now by the former second Vice President of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Monday Ubani. Thank you very much for joining us on News Now. Now, President Buhari in his letter cited financial security and legal consequences for rejecting the bill. What do you make of some of these reasons?
I am totally not in agreement with the reasons that have been advanced by the President for rejecting to assent to that bill. If you recall that the President himself was elected through direct primary that took place prior to 2019 general election. So if the President came to direct primary, so it is now very amusing if the same President now is now trying to decry that process and then make it look as if it is a satanic process of electoral victory. And so I am not in agreement with the reason that the President himself has advanced. Well, what I can say is that the President has declined assent within the timeline allowed by the law. I think he has 30 days. He didn't communicate that on Sunday, which was the deadline, but he did that 2 days thereafter. I think what should be done now at this point is for the National Assembly to override the veto of the President and go ahead and pass that particular bill into law. The reason why I'm saying this is because they are the ones that have enacted this law. They believe in the content of that law. They believe in the provisions of that law. They are the ones that say that this is the best thing for Nigeria, who they are our true representatives. So if they have enacted that law and sent it to the President who thinks otherwise, what they should do is to tell the President that the President is wrong and they are right. And the only way they can prove that they are right is for them to override the veto of the President and go ahead and pass that bill. Assent to that bill, and it becomes a law. And then with all the beautiful innovations that are there, especially the issue of electronic transmission of result, which is one of the innovative provisions in that law, we should not throw the baby with the bath. It will be the wrong thing for us to throw this particular law into the dustbin, and then we go back and start using 2010 Electoral Act in order to conduct our 2023 election. God forbid. We have moved further. We have advanced further. And we have made some innovations, in our amendment electoral law, which I think that the best thing at this point in time is for them to override the veto of the President and pass that particular bill into law.
From the legal perspective, what next line of action do you expect from the National Assembly?
And that is what I have just said, that they have to override the veto of the President by ensuring that they pass that particular bill into law. They don't need to be convinced. They don't need any team now to be raised in order to talk to them. They don't need any activist or any person now to speak to the National Assembly directly. They don't even require the begging of Nigerians for them to override the veto of the President. What I'm saying is that they are the one that enacted that law. They are the one that passed that bill. They believe in the content of that bill. They believe also in the provision of that bill. So what will now stop them from going ahead in order to override the president's veto? So the right thing for them to do in this instance is for them to override the president's veto and say, no, Mr. President, you are wrong. We are right. And so that would be the best thing for them to do in the second, because the Constitution allows it that if the president declines assent, the National Assembly by two-thirds majority can pass that particular bill into law, which is what every Nigerian now will be expecting the National Assembly to do. And if they fail to do that, that will make them the most toothless house ever in the history of Nigeria. And it will not augur well for those people that are representing Nigeria in this particular night assembly. So the best thing for them to do in order to redeem the image and redeem their reputation and redeem their name is to actually go ahead and override the veto of the president and pass this particular bill into law. They should not allow us
Indeed,
to conduct...
Mr. Albani, but it's certainly a wait-and-see situation, and we'll see how the situation plays out. But former and second vice president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Monday Albani, thank you very much for your contributions. Well, moving on, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has regarded the introduction of the Bimodal Voters Authentication System, BVAS, as a catalyst to deepening the nation's electoral process. The BVAS came under intense criticism during the Anambra governorship elections, as several cases of malfunctioning prompted calls to discontinue its use. However, at a meeting with the resident electoral commissioners in Abuja on Tuesday, Chairman of the Commission, Mahmoud Yakubu, said the Commission is working on improving the technology.
The BVAS has replaced the smart card reader for verification and authentication of voters as part of our improved voter accreditation process. The new technology was designed in-house by INEC engineers. Like every new technology, glitches were observed and important lessons learned. We wish to assure Nigerians that the Commission has reviewed the performance of the BVAS in Anambra State, and there will be tremendous improvement leading to optimal performance in future elections. The BVAS has come to stay. As a testimony to the efficacy of the ABIS process, 14,665 multiple registrations were detected and rejected. Consequently, the number of new valid registrants in the FCT is 28,321. Added to this figure are requests for transfer of registrations to FCT, replacement of lost or damaged PVCs, and update of voter records, making an overall total of 39,208 new PVCs to be printed. I'm glad to report that the PVCs will be available for collection from 6 January 2022 until 4th February 2022.
Every year, tens of thousands of West Africans cross the Sahara Desert in search for a better life. Many of these journeys quickly become a nightmare as these migrants become trapped in a spiral of false promises, hardship and abuse. Luckily, some of these migrants make it out alive to tell their stories and reshape their lives. Our correspondent, Mojisala Matami, in this report tells of their journey to self-recovery.
Each year, an estimated 800,000 men, women and children are trafficked across international borders. In 2018 alone, about 1,000 Nigerians fell victim to human trafficking. For these victims, the desire for a better life is the main catalyst. They shed all traces of their past, sell all valuables in exchange for a promise of a better life. Sadly, these promises often turn into a nightmare. Cecilia Idowu, the first of 5 children and a mother of 2, is one of many Nigerians who left the shores of the country in 2016 desperate to make ends meet. Her unfamiliarity with social media led her into the trap of human traffickers who lured her into 3 years of her darkest life.
Before we got to that Agades, because maybe this Korope small bus, that was the box they used, and we were like 15, 20 in it. So I sat, another person sat on my leg, and another person sat again. That is how because when when we even want to get down, my leg, I was unable to move my leg. On getting to Libya, though we faced a lot of challenges, it's not that easy. Is it when our motor spoiled, or when there is no more water for us to drink?
Cecilia's escape back home is nothing short of a miracle. Through the help of the International Organization for Migration (IOM), the 29-year-old ended a 3-year misery as a forced laborer.
I worked for a year without sending money to my family. Then my salary was 600 dinars, and that 600 dinars was 60,000 Nigerian money. So this woman have to collect the money for a year. Now I can't send any money. I can't do anything now, because if I do anything there.
Like many returning migrants, reintegration into society is usually an uphill task. But thanks to several support systems, Cecilia has slowly rebuilt her life. She has now returned to her first interest, which is fashion designing, and has also set up a fish pond.
I did the soft drink of a thing, but it's during the COVID-19. That is when I just say, let me stop this thing, because these drinks, they do expire. So whenever they expire, it's a very big shortage for me. So after then, the little change I have, I just say, let me find something else to do. So I'm inside the shop when I'm working. So I have a little fish farm also. My income is from the fish farm, the fashion designer, the things I sell, the bags, these shoes.
My journey to celebrate returning migrants led me to a returnee who uses his first-hand knowledge of irregular migration to help unsuspecting victims. Meet Toby Ayediron, a former irregular migrant turned travel agent. Unlike Cecilia, who was deceived, Toby Ayediron made a deliberate decision to travel through irregular means despite understanding the consequences.
Actually, I know about Libya. I know what is happening there. So I'm a literate person. I check internet. I know, but when I was advised, I had no other option. I had no other option than to do it at that moment, to travel irregularly at that moment, because of, like I said before, pressure from family. And, when I came back to Nigeria, me trying to look for job here and there was no job again. Then I was like, will I continue like this? Despite that I know what is happening in Libya, I had no other option than to listen to them and just travel.
But the harsh reality of his ill-fated journey in Libya only lasted for 9 months. Armed with the knowledge of irregular migration, Toby established a travel and tour business. Now, Toby not only helps people travel through legal means, but also counsels unsuspecting victims.
I have a lot of people that want to travel regularly, like people that want to go to Iraq, Afghanistan. So when they come to me like that, what I simply do is that I try to advise them properly. With that, I ask them to come back again, visit me again. Then if it's a must for them to travel, like I just want to travel, then I introduce to them a proper way of traveling.
Toby and Cecilia are some of the few irregular migrants who were lucky to find their way back home. But several thousands have sadly met their untimely end in their desperation to make ends meet. Irregular migration in the past few years have more than doubled, raising global concern about the menace. Mojisola Matomi, TV360, Lagos.
Well, we'll take a break here, but still to come, Ghana's MPs exchange blows in Parliament over mobile money tax. The details of the story and more right after this break. Welcome back. Now here is a reminder of some of our top stories tonight. President Muhammad Buhari has officially declined assent to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. The rejection was conveyed in letters read in the two chambers of the National Assembly on Tuesday by the Senate President Hamad Lawan and the Speaker of the House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila. In a letter read by Senate President Hamad Lawan at plenary on Tuesday, Buhari explained that using direct mode of primaries to determine election candidates will have huge financial impact on political parties. We also told you that the House of Representatives has jacked up the 2022 budget to 17.12 trillion naira from the 16.39 billion naira proposed by President Muhammad Buhari. The budget was passed on Tuesday following the adoption of the report of the House Committee Appropriations submitted by its chairman, Maktar Batare. The Green Chambers also increased the oil benchmark from $57 per barrel to $62 per barrel despite uncertainty in global oil markets due to the Omicron variant of COVID-19. Well, in case you missed any of our news bulletin or for more updates, do log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. Owing to the recent rise in Nigeria's COVID-19 infection figure, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC) says the country is currently experiencing a fourth wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Director General of the NCDC, Ifedayo Adetifa, announced the development in a statement on Monday. The Director General also announced that the center is launching its Yuletide season campaign themed #Celebrate Responsibly as part of the #Take Responsibility campaign. Meanwhile, the NCDC on Tuesday revealed that an additional 1,368 cases have been added to Nigeria's total caseload. The NCDC in its update said the new cases were logged in 19 states and the Federal Capital Territory (FCT). While Lagos, the epicenter of the virus, recorded 844 infections, the FCT and Oyo followed with 209 and 58 cases respectively. We'll take another short break here and return with more stories and business. To stay with us. Welcome back. Well, up next is business news and stock market review with Simisola Adigun. Over to you, Simi.
Thank you very much, Shade. In business, the World Economic Forum has postponed its 2022 annual meeting in Davos due to rising concerns over the Omicron COVID-19 variant. The event, an annual meeting of high-profile, economically powerful nations and corporate leaders, was originally scheduled to take place in Davos clusters, Switzerland, between January 17th and 21st, 2022, but is now planned for early summer of 2022. A statement released by the Geneva-based organization revealed current pandemic conditions have made it difficult to deliver a global in-person meeting, and a series of online sessions will be held instead to focus on shaping solutions to the world's most pressing challenges. We'll take a short break and be back with a review of the stock market. The performance of the Nigerian Stock Exchange indices show that the benchmark all-share index paired 6.14 points to close at 42,388, while current market capitalization still stands at 22.1 trillion naira. Compared with the previous trading day, that's Monday, today's data shows a 94% improvement in volume, a 58% improvement in turnover, but a 7% decline in deals. In the aggregate, 102 equities participated in trading, ending with 21 gainers and 15 losers. Mayer led the gainers, followed by Consolidated Hallmark Insurance with a combined gain of 96 kobo. On the losing side, Etana came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 9.91%, followed by MRS Oil Nigeria with a 9.85 decline, ending with a combined loss of 19 naira 25 kobo. At the end of today's trading session on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, a total of 275 million volumes of shares traded in 3,489 deals, corresponding to a market value of 3.935 billion naira. Over now to some select global stocks, FTSE, Dow Jones and Nikkei. It was a field day as these foreign stocks ended in the greens, reversing losses of the previous trading day. UK's FTSE made a swift recovery from Monday's turbulence as sentiment continues to fluctuate in response to developments in the pandemic. Over now, in the US, the Dow Jones started on the front foot after the recent acute sell-off caused by worries over coronavirus. The Dow Jones Industrial Average added over 345 points to stand at 35,277 in the early trade in New York. Also in focus for investors was President Joe Biden's economic plans, as the Senate will vote on the president's safety net and climate policy bill in January 2022, despite opposition to it, as reported on Monday. The Japanese stocks Nikkei led gains regionally with a 2.08 rise. Now, investors predict the outlook for Chinese equities will depend on how serious the U.S. is about stopping the flow of funds into China. That's all on the stock markets report. Over to Folashade for the rest of the news.
Well, many thanks, Sibi, for that update. Now on the foreign scene, there was chaos in the Ghana parliament when some lawmakers exchanged blows during voting on the electronic transaction levy bill. The chaos started after opposition MPs rushed forward to prevent Deputy Speaker Joseph Osei Owusi from leaving his seat to vote. The parliamentarians reportedly tried to prevent the Speaker from casting his vote, arguing that based on the House's standing order, it was supposed to be neutral. The proposed levy is a charge of 1.75% of the value of electronic transactions and is expected to come into effect in February 2022. Well, up next is Entertainment Reporter News Now.
Upcoming Nigerian artist Portable has taken to his TikTok account to express displeasure at celebrated dancer Pokoli's involvement with his hit record Zazuze. A few days ago, a video of Portable hit the internet while he was holding legendary Olamide and thanking him for featuring on the hit record. Now, Portable is angry that Pokoli has rights to his songs. On most streaming platforms, the record is credited to Pokoli, Portable and Olamide. Portable is, however, displeased by the fact that Pokoli's name comes first on the record, not his. Portable also claimed that when Olamide brought him on stage to perform Zazuze at the Live Sport Festival, Whiskey paid him $3,000, but Pokoli gave him only $600. Lloyd Weaver, director of the long-running television series I Need to Know, is dead. The ace filmmaker reportedly died on December 20th from a yet-to-be-confirmed ailment. Weaver's popular series I Need to Know brought major Nollywood stars Funke Akindele Bello and Moyo Lawal to limelight. The show followed high schoolers as they explored issues on HIV/AIDS and teenage issues in their evolving worlds. His filmmaking career in Nigeria, spanning over 3 decades, also saw him produce Mnet-sponsored films Twin of the Rainforest and A Place Called Home. And that is all that we have for you in the entertainment segment of News Now.
Away from entertainment now to sports, World Football Governing Body FIFA President Gianni Infantino has assured football stakeholders that the biennial World Cup proposed for both the men and women competition will close a huge financial gap between big and small football nations. While addressing representatives of the 210 member associations during the FIFA Global Summit, which took place on an online meeting, Infantino says 2 independent feasibility studies have confirmed the viability of the proposal. He also raised concerns about the current global economic uncertainties affecting the game, which a biennial World Cup could help cushion if well implemented.
In a 16-year period, the reforms would generate a GDP injection of 180 billion US dollars. This is about half of the GDP of Denmark, for example, to take only one country, which I think is a reasonably wealthy country. 2 million full-time jobs will be created, 5 billion tax payments for governments. An incredibly positive impact for the global society when we look at the macroeconomic and societal role of football, and a great legacy for our society as well. And as we heard before, maybe that, especially in this COVID or post-COVID, hopefully soon, era, if we are right with the projections, there is a massive, massive uplift for everyone from the first to the last. And if we don't act well, then we might take a risk, because the current landscape, the current economic landscape is certainly uncertain and volatile, and we need to bring in maybe a bit more certainty, because this gap that we have today is getting, of course, bigger and bigger, and we need to do something.
And that's it in our news bulletin. Many thanks for watching. I am Folashade Ogurinde. Bye for now.